Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back. It's Rematch Esports, the Rematch Elite Series North America, and it's Hunted and Q here on the broadcast with you. And Q, we've got two final series left. There's 3 total teams. 8 of them came into today, and we have 3 remaining. It's F5 Penguins up against Azure FC. The winner of this one gets a chance to get some revenge on Voidbound.
You know, if you would have told me these two were playing against one another, I would have said maybe in the upper bracket final, maybe the grand final, but the lower bracket final is definitely a little bit of a strange place to be setting what, at least what we had seen over from Rematch Scout had projected as our 2 favorites when it came to taking home the whole event. One of them isn't going to be making grand finals. I expect this to be kind of a banger at the sort of pace that things have been going lately. I mean, that last series definitely can be added to that list, but it's kind of a shame that we are at that point here, Hunted, that we, unfortunately, every series are sending people home.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the nature, of course, of the beast here. We can only have one victor, and we are down to the 3 best teams in North America right now. Again, Voidbound awaits the winner of both F5 Penguins and Azure FC. And for both of these teams, we can kind of give an overview of how we even got to this position. Both teams got dropped into the lower bracket by Voidbound, and they both suffered sweeps in the process. And I would say, I don't know, I know you and I cast Voidbound versus Azure FC. That one was a little one-sided. The F5 Penguins kind of suffered a similar fate. They had a decent start, but kind of petered out a little bit against Voidbound. And now, as Azure FC comes off a Game 5 banger against Finesse, you've got to imagine Azure FC has at least a little bit more momentum than F5 Penguins does.
This is always that weird part of the tournament, right? Because technically F5 Penguins advanced further into the upper bracket, but now when we've gotten to this point, you're coming into this matchup here off the back of a loss, like you said, whereas Azure should at least be feeling better about their where they're at in their game right now. They were able to bounce back after their loss, but if there's anything that we do know about the best teams in Rematch right now, the bounce back potential is always there. I think what's going to be really important is game number 1 here for the F5 Penguin squad.
Yeah, game 1, I mean, just the first minute, I think, where you can kind of set the tone, get yourself back on track. And who knows what the conversations were between the team members. Maybe they have a coach or somebody else who can kind of help them step back a little bit and take a bigger picture look at what they were doing in that series against Voidbound. And we'll have to see. And, you know, we kind of talked about that with Azure FC last series as well, where they are a team that needed to bounce back after a tough loss. They were able to do that against another very good team, a team that a lot of people expected to be in the grand finals in Finesse, who drop out in 4th place. But I mean, this is quite literally where you can make your name in North American Rematch, right? If you win this series, you are in the grand finals, you have that opportunity, and this is where you can show kind of what your team is made of here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you've already made a name for yourself somewhat being in that top 3. I mean, you place within the money at this point, even considering our last team that we just sent home, but every step forward definitely helps. Add to the resume just a little bit, but ain't no more time to talk about it. It's time to be about it. Let's go ahead and get down to game number 1. Really looking forward to see which of these 2 teams is going to be able to really establish the offense down the opposite side of the field. Not just being able to maintain possession, but actually get active looks towards the net.
And it is worth noting in this tournament, $100 to first place, $600 to first place, $200 to second, $125 to third, and $75 to fourth is how the money shakes out. So a decent bit of cash on the line and a chance to play for the lion's share of that $1,000 prize pool for one of these 2 teams. But here we are underway with game number 1, as we haven't really had too much of a chance to take a look at F5 other than that series that they lost here on our primary broadcast. As Stahly's going to find Pitoh for a quick shot. Good stop there. It was blocked before it could get to the keeper there by Yako. But I'd love to see F5 bounce back and show us what that offense can do, what they've been doing all tournament long.
Well, they've been able to at least establish some confidence in possession. They've been able to keep, even when Azure has had possession once when they were trying to exit the zone, they were unsuccessful in that regard. And well, at least this time around, might be able to send it at least towards the midfield line. But even there, Koltzy, I thought was going to have the pockets picked. Instead, a little bit of a fancy-dancy footwork pass to themselves, pass across the box, but will be denied. F5 now has a chance to be able to flip the pitch, but Stahly stalled right around the midfield line. Azure trying to find more pressure towards the net.
We'll see what F5 can do as time continues to tick on. We are getting close to that 4-minute mark here in game number 1. As that's a nice little move from Koltzy. Gets around the defense. Has to stop up, though, as Kylar able to hustle back and make a play. Here's Stahly with possession. He ends up playing it downfield over to Pitoh. Now Kylar has nomdoms down the wing. Yako looking to put some pressure on him on this one-on-one. Nice pass to Kylar and a beautiful save. It's Imabwtpie in the back of the net there for his team, making a good save on the goal line. Keeps Azure FC leveled at 0. Still a quick play, and Silver gets his first look. There's PaullyWallnuts. First time we've said his name so far, as he will have to make a stop, so the keeper's getting involved now.
I think sometimes a newer viewer might look at those longer passes where you're trying to set up that quick 1-2 upfield. It's like that should be easily fielded. Why are you doing that? But you have to at least show the confidence of the other team that if you get caught sleeping in that back line, one simple look away, one kind of lean back might be what allows a goal into the back of the net. So I always love seeing those heat checks as long as it's not a consistent thing. I think the other thing we're seeing is Silver's doing a great job of finding those pockets where they are able to receive those deep passes.
And interesting, we saw Kylar there having to take up the gloves for a moment. He's able to do so quite nicely, and now he's got nomdoms and Stahly working the possession on the offensive side of the ball. Here's Stahly with a nice move around Koltzy. Going to run into Yako, has to be deflected back as now Silver and Koltzy steal possession and work down the pitch themselves. 2.5 minutes remaining in game 1. Still no score. Kylar, good defensive play. Nomdoms will slide down from that winger position, help out as well. So now PaullyWallnuts, an underrated part of the keeper position is just how good you can be offensively. He gives the ball away, but able to get back there. And as I sing his praises, PaullyWallnuts. He is one of the best offensive keepers we've seen. That was nearly a disaster, but he's able to get back to it. Let's see what he's got here from the midfield line. Quick pass over to Kylar. Kylar going to take some space for the blade shot. Blocked down by Yako. It'll be all the way back to PaullyWallnuts. And again, Pauly will do what he can to try to open up some space. You can see the bigger picture here. Pauly off the back wall. Stahly not going to be able to get up to it. That's a good defensive play by Silver. Pitoh trying to take the ball away and does. As now it's going to be nomdoms out of the wing position yet again. And F5 more than happy to play patient possession rematch right now, as they're still trying to poke and prod this defense. There's nomdoms in the box, and Imabwtpie's in perfect position.
I like the confidence and the discipline by F5. Not really worried about forcing the issue, just continuing to poke and prod and see where they might be able to force Azure into that overcommittal. Unfortunately for them, Azure has been pretty disciplined in their own right on the defensive end. Now on the offense, was looking for a 1-2-3 combo. Unfortunately, the pass across the box over to Silver, just a little bit too far out of the reach, as it will now be F5 Penguins looking to try and reset up their offense. We're talking about a minute left here in game number 1, and we could very well only see one lone goal. It could be the decider. Who knows? We could even see some extra time here in game number 1, because both defenses really doing a great job of stepping up.
Need to be careful. Kylar floating back, able to cover up for PaullyWallnuts there, and that's an important part of this aggressive keeper sort of style. You got to make sure you have good communication with your defenders so they can cover up when needed. Here's Kylar with space, trying to play a shot. Almost found Stahly on the near post. But it bounces out for TiPSY, who's going to send Azure on their way. Koltzy now with a lot of room on the wing. Has Silver making a run into the box, trying to find him. It's off of the boot of Kylar, though, and he can't quite get it clear. PaullyWallnuts wanted to help, but a nice little angle pass there to nomdoms, and F5 have found themselves out of the zone now. Stahly with some nice moves around Silver. Overtime game 1, no score yet. There's nomdoms, and he just missed it wide. Pitoh's got the rebound. Trying to get around TiPSY, can't quite do it yet. Good cut of the pass from Koltzy, but he can't hang on to the ball. The pass back to Kylar, a bit errant, and out Koltzy with some space to run. He's got to hustle, though. Stahly in retreat. Just able to get there in time. PaullyWallnuts will take possession, and Penguins going to try to start the offense again.
Definitely a little bit of a sigh of relief from the defense from F5. Almost looked like you got burned on the back end and gave a freebie away to decide game number 1. Now you're trying to set up your offense. Down on the opposite side. One look, and that's all you get. I do got to give F5's offense a little bit of credit. They have had some really threatening looks, especially crossing the box that ends up to some wide shots, but they definitely feel like they're on the verge of getting there first.
It feels like one mistake could be the very end of this game, and a lot of pressure going to be on the keepers to come up with big saves. As Imabwtpie looking for Silver. That's rejected. I believe that was Stahly who got ahead on that one. Quick pass back. Imabwtpie will set up yet again from his own zone. Actually, 2 players being baited in there by F5, as now Silver looking for Koltzy, but it's too far afield. And Pitoh needs some help from Stahly. That's a nice controlling touch. He's going to get the pass across over here now. And nomdoms with a lot of grass in front of him. Quickly on, but Silver, good cut of the pass there. Pitoh going to challenge Imabwtpie and actually decides to try to flick it back, maybe thinking Imabwtpie was going to retreat. And now he's going to steal the ball away. The net's open. What a slide tackle from TiPSY. Incredible reflexes to get back in time. That was nearly disaster for Azure. And now they're going to start on the offensive. Here's Koltzy. Nice move. Silver's there, but nomdoms gets in the way, and the defense is coming up big.
You know what? You might be okay with surrendering over the possession there because it was almost a big mistake, not even 10 seconds prior to that. But now it will be back to the defensive side. It was Pitoh or Stahly. Neither one of them quite able to get a foot onto that one there. We're seeing the F5 Penguin squad doing a great job of keeping the pressure forward. The only problem is you don't want to overextend and get caught with an easy attack down on the other side. Shot off the ceiling there, but I can't quite find the rebound. There was almost a second there for a follow-up shot.
Yeah, it looked like, I think maybe if he would have taken the shot, he had a better opportunity. Didn't have anybody in support, did Silver, on that attack, but ultimately Azure FC, and you can tell how conservative these teams are playing. Nobody wanting to make that big mistake right now. Here's Yako looking for Koltzy. Knocked away there by nomdoms, and Stahly with some room. He's got Yako beat, takes the shot, but Imabwtpie comes out aggressively, makes the save, and he'll put Azure back on the attack. There's Koltzy. Nice little quick pass to Silver. Knocked away by the head of Kylar. Nomdoms gets in the way and will break that play up. PaullyWallnuts now picking things up for F5 and Q. It really, really feels like as soon as one of these teams gets a good chance, this game's going to end.
It's definitely sitting on knife's edge, and you can only imagine the little bit of extra pressure that these players are feeling. Speaking of pressure, though, PaullyWallnuts all the way up the pitch, trying to put extra pressure towards the net, some confidence and not overextending here as Koltzy push pressures out. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get a foot onto it. You do have Kylar that's been doing a great job of making sure every time PaullyWallnuts extends forward, they're recovering on the back side. And at this point, just simply playing keep away, trying to see if Azure makes a mistake. Shot rings off the post, and it will be Yako who will at least fields the rebound, prevents any sort of follow-up shot.
Nomdoms off the crossbar, a beautiful opportunity. And F5 back to the drawing board with Kylar. Hovering, trying to find nomdoms again, but it's Imabwtpie this time, able to make the save. Reads that one perfectly. That was labeled to go posting in from nomdoms, and Azure keep themselves alive in game one. Koltzy all the way across. Here's TiPSY with some room. Pass across, and it's PaullyWallnuts in return. The keeper's coming up large here in overtime, game one.
We had talked about at the start of the game how these two keepers were going to be tested, and that has most certainly been the case. For an additional 4.5 minutes here in game number one, and neither team has really been able to find a way to crack the code. Sure, they're finding a way to lob shots at the net, and yeah, a couple of them looked good. A couple of them even finding the post, but the lace has still yet to be touched. PaullyWallnuts being able to secure that one away, and we are about to officially cross over that 5 minutes played of extra time.
Yeah, this is an insane series already, and we haven't even had a goal scored yet. That's how deep we are into game one overtime. Still 0-0, 5 minutes. We've played nearly 2 games of rematch. Kylar now moving forward. Good move, fires, but right into the chest of Imabwtpie, who's trying to send Koltzy on his way. But ultimately, it'll bounce into the hands of the opposing keeper in PaullyWallnuts, who's going to use his time to find some space. Koltzy on the challenge. Plays it on over to Kylar. Kylar now has Pitoh lurking at the top of the box. That's not a pass he was looking for there. But it'll be back to PaullyWallnuts, and F5 will begin again. Back wall. Quickly in. Good read there from Yako. And that'll be a chip back to Imabwtpie. Let's see what Azure can do now as we approach that 6-minute mark here in overtime. They really have not had too much of an opportunity to play the possession game, to really be on the ball. You see TiPSY and Yako crossing each other there as Koltzy wanted to find Silver. But again, it's just the F5 defense coming up big. It feels like any moment now F5's going to break through, but they still need to beat the keeper. That's been the big thing right now. Pitoh with some room. Nice move. There's another one, but he can't get the third. And Koltzy will clear, making a good move himself. He's got a lot of space. I don't know how much stamina he's got. Is it going to be enough to get a shot off? It is. But PaullyWallnuts able to make the play yet again.
Had to find a way to fire that shot off sooner rather than later, realizing they are running out of that stamina. You never know also who gets that last little bit of effort to be able to find that slide tackle. So unfortunately, shot easily saved, but man, look at the time we're talking about, almost creeping up on 7 extra minutes. Azure continues to get some quick attacks off of some great defense. The only problem is it hasn't really led to longer possessions. It's definitely been F5 Penguins who have been leading in that regard. And for a squad like Azure, when you've been sitting back in your defensive half for so long, that starts to kind of build up on you. Goalie able to recover here. TiPSY making a huge play.
What a great save, and now the shot's going to come in. Oh, Imabwtpie doesn't catch it. Stahly's got him there. Pitoh, but Imabwtpie right in the way. And my goodness, F5 have had incredible chances, but shots going wide, posts hit, crossbars rung. And we play on 0-0. 7:35 into overtime as Kylar chip on. Nomdoms with some room. Into the box. Pitoh fires. Again, it's Imabwtpie to slam the door. And at this point, maybe we give the series to whoever can score a goal. I think that might just be all it takes. Obviously, that's going to be all it takes to win game number 1. It's incredible. We were just talking about it in the green room there, Q, how exciting one-goal games can be, and we're in another one right now. It hasn't been for lack of trying by these offenses as nomdoms finds Pitoh, and they finally find the back of the net. It seemed like a matter of time, and it was. The Penguins able to take game 1 in over 7 minutes of OT.
That's got to feel so rewarding for the Penguins, who had so much pressure in that extra time of play in game number 1. During the course of regulation, it felt like definitely a back and forth affair, but when we looked at the actual overtime itself, it felt like F5 Penguins hit almost a little bit of an extra stride. So for them to be able to walk away with a dub is most certainly huge, especially too, we had talked about kind of heading into this point here, you know, as far as for the Penguins coming in off of the loss to be able to overcome such a long game in game 1 with a dub. I mean, we can't ask for much more.
Yeah, that's an important one. That could have been a heartbreaker for F5 Penguins, and ultimately they were able to make it work in overtime, and you've got to give them credit. I mean, it felt like we played however long that game was. I mean, over 2 matches worth of rematch, and we spent probably 80% of it in the Azure FC zone. Imabwtpie, the man with the ball right now, he had an incredible game, Q. I mean, both keepers did, of course. But Imabwtpie had an incredible game, but can't come up with the one final save that he needed. And ultimately, F5 Penguins up by a game here.
I know we had had discussions earlier about whether people call it football, soccer, call it what you want, but what you've seen in Rematch as of lately very much mimics that real sport where there are a lot of lower scoring games. It's always going to be the better defense. That is most often than not going to be able to come up when it comes to the highest level of play, or when you're talking about top 3 here in our Elite Series. It does not surprise me to see low scoring affairs, but man, talk about to be able to keep a clean sheet on either side for, what is that, essentially 13 minutes of play almost. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's been fantastic so far for both of the defenses, and we're already starting things off quickly here with F5 getting a majority of the possession. Instead, though, Koltzy finds a little bit of room to run. PaullyWallnuts actually deferring to Kylar here. PaullyWallnuts going to play some defense, and Silver finds the back of the net. What a pass! The delay from Koltzy is just enough to send Silver on a run, and it's 1-0 for Azure.
What happened to where Kylar got the gloves? I don't remember PaullyWallnuts being forced out of keep to cause that exchange, but you had definitely just pointed out the fact that it's a different keep on the back line, and as much as we had seen the F5 Penguins be able to have that stone wall to be able to hold them at 0 for so long, one simple mistake and it will be Azure with their first lead.
And now Koltzy, another chance. He just missed it wide. No grab there from PaullyWallnuts, so Silver's going to grab the rebound. And now play it all the way down to Imabwtpie, and Azure can afford to play this long possession game now, as they have snatched themselves their first lead of the series on the first goal they've scored in this series. As now Koltzy wanted to find Silver again. He actually gets the ball right back to him. Kylar, good header away. Yako getting chased down there by Stahly. The slide tackle delays him for a moment, but it will eventually find its way back to TiPSY. The chip on. Let's see if Azure can maybe put up some insurance here. There's Koltzy again. He missed it high. Had PaullyWallnuts dead to rights there, but Koltzy couldn't get it on goal. And now it's Stahly with some space, and the chip can't get over Imabwtpie. It looked like he had him beat, but Imabwtpie in good enough position to make the save.
It's huge to be able to keep things as far as the score line for now, and Imabwtpie going to be able to secure another here as well. The one thing I wanted to point out was I like, as far as for the F5 Penguins, you see their defense doing a great job of being able to kind of force the start of the offense so deep back in this Azure side. Unfortunately for them, it hasn't resulted in anything beyond one early pass. They haven't really been able to find a way to kind of rotate things over to at least enforce it more engaging into the offense. But it feels like, for me, the small little extra spacing for Azure is something they need to capitalize on.
I would tend to agree. I think Azure's had some good offense when they've been able to generate a little bit of possession in the offensive half. That's a nice header down there by Silver. Everybody rallying back on the defensive side. Yako gets a touch on it. He actually gets the block on the follow-up as well, as Pitoh had an opportunity there. Is now Stahly trying to take the shot, going to bounce wide. Pitoh, very much a slow play, almost found nomdoms across the way. And Yako up to Koltzy. Here's Silver, back to Koltzy, actually able to beat out the defense there, but nomdoms sliding down again from that winger position. Going to block the play, and F5 will take possession. Minute 58. Game 2, Azure up by a goal. Nomdoms across to Stahly, shut down by TiPSY.
There's definitely time for F5 to cook, but they are starting to run out of opportunities here. It's felt like Azure has kicked things up just a little extra notch. We had talked about how much time F5 had spent down here on this half of the pitch in game 1. It hasn't quite been the same story, and almost feels like F5 hasn't quite been able to find the read on what changes have been made. And as far as for them, I had mentioned running out of time. The good news is they do have a longer possession here. It looks like PaullyWallnuts will try to push just a little further forward. Pass off the back ball, was looking for nomdoms. Unfortunately, not quite able to dial it in. They'll give possession over to Azure here, who does simply get to be able to burn more of that clock hunting.
Yeah, and I do think Azure has battened down the hatches a little bit more, as here's Koltzy with some room to run. Takes a shot near post. PaullyWallnuts able to snag that one out of the air, and he's going to send Kylar on his way. Looking for Pitoh. That's going to be blocked there by TiPSY. Now all the way across. Nomdoms. He will be able to find the possession around Yako as well. Quickly into the box, but Silver's there to knock it away as now Stahly. And Pitoh. There's, oh no, almost found Stahly on a good pass, but it was just a bit too far. Nomdoms with a nice steal. Pitoh was there, but it just flies over his head. And F5 need to find a bit of possession. That slide tackle works to good effect there from Stahly. It's a nice little chip pass over to Nomdoms. Pitoh off the sidewall and in. Stahly with the follow-up. What a beautiful play from F5. We're tied.
What a huge play here by F5 to be able to find that elusive goal with just 15 seconds to go and makes the header shot. Instead, just finds the pass, finds the teammate, and delivers it home. Extra time, one more time, it does look like here in game number 2. And remember, we had, almost 8 minutes of extra time in game number 1. Literally lets you know just how close things are at the top here in North America in our Elite Series.
Yeah, this has been fantastic, fantastic rematch all series long. And we're going to get a bit more of it here in game number 2 as TiPSY wanted to go off the end wall. The ball will be played all the way back to the midfield line. Pitoh. Good possession there around a couple of defenders. Quickly over to the sidewall. Here's Nomdoms. Nice move. Chip in. Good rally there defensively. Finding Stahly, though, across the way. F5 keeps possession. Challenged by Yako. He's trying to find the full challenge. Actually gets a bit errant on the pass there. TiPSY wants the chip back to Imabwtpie, and it just ends up in his hands. Needs to be careful with that shortened timer. We'll find it out to TiPSY. Here it is. On to Koltzy. Quickly to Silver. Score! Azure FC get their first chance in OT, and we are heading to game 3 tied at 1.
Nice spacing as far as on the counterattack. You put Koltzy up into the corner that has Silver by themselves right along that PK dot, which means easily able to bury home a shot off of a dime of a pass. So we'll be off to the rubber match, all tied up at 1. And when we talk about for a end of a lower bracket here for our event, you can't ask for much more. I mean, these two teams are neck and neck.
Yeah, we couldn't ask for a better couple of series, this last one and now this one. And I'm hoping that the grand final will be just as good. I mean, these have been so much fun, so much great rematch. I'm glad they were able to bring it to you here live on our feed. And not only is it a chance to play into the grand finals, but it's a chance to get back and have an opportunity again at Voidbound, right? Both teams are looking for a little bit of revenge on VB, who awaits the winner here. I don't think either of them are thinking about that right now, though, Q. I think both of these teams, as Pitoh takes a quick shot early, I think both of these teams are very much going game by game, perhaps minute by minute, and right in the first minute of game 3, it's Koltzy who finds the back of the net for Azure.
For Azure now, remember, they were not able to find a goal in the entirety of that long first period, that first game, but now they put themselves in the lead, not only in game number 2, but with an even quicker goal. Here in game number 3, they are letting the Penguins know that they have showed up. They're here to play. You mentioned not looking forward to the grand finals just quite yet. Blinders on, just worried about the next 5.5 minutes.
I think they might just be concerned about who gets the next goal right here. It's a very, very important next goal, as Azure FC striking early, getting a bit of their mojo back after a tough game number 1. And a little bit of a miscommunication there. PaullyWallnuts nearly had that one find the way to the back of his goal, but he's able to take it away from Koltzy. Here's Stahly with some room to run down the wing. Koltzy wants the challenge, not going to be able to get there in time. Good pass across off the back wall. The rebound out to the top of the box. Good chip over, but Stahly has that one taken from him by Koltzy. And it's been fast-paced rematch as Koltzy doing a little dance there. Stahly's not going to have any of it, though. Takes it away. And TiPSY, though, will come in support of his teammate, sending Koltzy again back on a run. Silver sprinting towards the net, getting a shot off the cross, or off the top of the wall, and it's going to be nomdoms who's able to play it away. That was a great defensive effort from nomdoms, not giving up on the play after the keeper was out of it.
Great defensive effort, but I'm surprised that they continue to give Silver as much room as they have on a couple of these possessions. They're in the middle of the box. Koltzy barely fires that one off of the foot before PaullyWallnuts is able to secure it. Tries to find a way past the midfield line, but that's about as far as she rows. It will be Koltzy pass two. It's a wide open that has the ball on a stream. You thought you had it? Ain't no way. That's two here in the opening 2 minutes.
Man, that's just some fantastic play from Koltzy. He recognizes Kylar's not the primary keeper for his team. We saw PaullyWallnuts get himself into trouble and sprint down the pitch. Kylar had to rotate back to play goalie, and he's unable to make the stop. Koltzy goes 1-on-4 and scores to make it Azure FC up by 2. It's going to be on F5 Penguins now to try to find a response. They don't have a ton of time. 3:45 left to go in the game. And normally I'd say they have plenty of time, but with how these defenses have been playing, it seems like a slog to try to find enough room, and that's just in from Silver. The early dive from PaullyWallnuts bites him, and Azure FC, they've scored the last 4 straight goals now, up 3-0 here in Game 3.
The wheels, they're falling off. It felt like they were doing so well trying to live life in the fast lane, even when trying to keep up with the pace of Azure. They're in game number 2, but in game 3, things have not gone in their favor, that's for sure. In a dangerous situation for a sort of dismantling of a team like this. In game number 3 is huge. It's not only putting Azure up onto series point, they're going to be feeling so much confidence, especially if they're going to be able to pull off a mercy rule here.
Wow.
Ask and you shall receive. Koltzy punches it home, and it's going to be a mercy rule in game 3.
And let's not forget here, Q. Let's not forget. I said they scored the last 4 of the series. With that one, I was actually mistaken. They scored the last 6 now of the series because they tied game number 2 with like 10 seconds left, okay? Azure FC has not scored through a majority of game 1 and game 2. They come back with 6 straight now, 2 to win game 2 in overtime and 4 to blank F5 Penguins in game 3. They are on a roll, and now if there's any moment for F5 Penguins to show that they are a top contender and are a true put-together team, now is the time to do it. You have to somehow bounce back after getting mercy ruled in game 3.
And you can tell that PaullyWallnuts is feeling that need to push the pace and try and move with a sense of urgency. It's been part of the reason why we've seen him overextending and pushing up the field, which ironically in itself has led to a couple of extra goals, which makes that big change from Azure feel that much worse. So you've got to lock in and buckle up because it's now or never if you're the F5 Penguins.
Yeah, there's no more room for errors here for the team in white. F5 down to their last game in the tournament. I'm sure they'll be satisfied with a top 3 finish, but I know they want to play for the gold. But they've got to take down Azure in 2 straight games to do it. Koltzy found Silver. He tries to play it high. PaullyWallnuts reads it well, though. Able to take it off the back wall. And that was nearly a good start there for Azure. As that one's going to be played up towards nomdoms. Has a little bit of room. TiPSY shadowing him there. There's a feed across. Yako, good positioning. Bit of an argument in the corner between Stahly and Yako. Stahly comes away with it. He wanted to find Pitoh, but Silver was in the way. As now F5 press the attack. Nomdoms one-on-one with Silver. Tries to get by, and he does. He's got a lot of room here. Flick on. Stahly scores, and F5 back on the board.
You know, I was about to say the importance of this first goal going in favor of the F5 Penguins, and before I even get a chance to talk about it, nomdoms serves up a dimer across to Stahly, who drills things home. A much-needed goal for the offense from the F5 Penguins. Now the question becomes, can you double things down? Stahly picks the pockets with that. Paul would have been left a little bit closer. might have had a potential to follow it up with the shot. Unfortunately, though, ends up into the hands of Imabwtpie, who tries to send it all the way down towards the other side of the pitch, but to no avail.
And we are quickly moving through game 4 now. Nice play from Kylar, blocked there by TiPSY. Pitoh will send it all the way back as F5 try to press their advantage, looking for a bit of insurance here in game 4. That's a nice feed into the box, but Yako was there. Actually, the whole team rallied to that ball as they scatter now, looking for some room to run off the boot of Imabwtpie. It's going to be Koltzy. Nomdoms and Stahly trying to swarm him. That ball out of reach of Silver. We are playing on this beautiful new stadium. I personally love this new one on the screen. Wow, Kylar just finds room between the defense, and they let him take the shot and score. That's a beauty from Kylar.
Almost feels like the gas has been let off just a little bit. It may be easy to say that from the booth just because we've simply seen 2 goals in the opening half of play, but Azure just doesn't seem to quite be clicking in the same way, more particularly down the defensive side. It just feels like they've allowed for a little bit of extra space to the Penguins, and they have most certainly capitalized in that regard. I would always prefer to go into the game number 5 off the back of a dub than a loss. That puts the pressure right now onto Azure to try and close things here in game 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I don't know why so much space was given to Kylar. He's trying to find a little bit more of it there. But maybe just a miscommunication defensively, nobody wanting to move from their post. Ultimately, it leads to an F5 2-goal lead. Here's Koltzy trying to cut that in half. Nice pass to Silver. He needs to put it shot on goal. PaullyWallnuts was out of the play, but he couldn't quite get to the ball. And it's going to be Kylar who will walk it to safety for now. The pass over to Pitoh. TiPSY, good play. Will send Koltzy on a bit of a run. Has Stahly by a couple of steps. Stahly gets back quickly. Koltzy tries to make a move. Paully's not going to bite on it. And Stahly able to get in the way. Beautifully done by the F5 defense. Nice move from Koltzy, though. Still looking for Silver. Got to take the shot himself, and it's PaullyWallnuts just going to snatch that out of the air before we get a highlight reel goal.
It just feels so forced. I mean, don't get me wrong, you were able to create space and find an opportunity, but you got teammates, and it feels like, unfortunately, just kind of had the blinders on, feeling the pressure of being down by 2. And F5 right now continuing with presence down on the side. Kylar looking to resecure this ball here for F5 as it will now be sent back to PaullyWallnuts all the way back deep inside their half, which inevitably is just going to turn into more time that'll dwindle off the clock. Back and forth the passes go, but Silver actually doing a great job of stepping up, picks the pockets. Now all of a sudden trying to turn defense into offense. Pass across, header sent on target, but PaullyWallnuts finds a save.
Yeah, great play from Azure, but PaullyWallnuts comes up huge for F5 there. Really needed that save to keep his team up by 2. And time dwindling now for Azure. It's 90 seconds left on the clock here in game 4. We are so very close to a game 5, but you know the team in black would love to see it end now as Silver finds the back of the net. That's a very similar play to the one that they connected on in overtime in game 2, and it's the first of the game for them here in game 4.
Just a great pass from Koltzy. You can see the defender tries to put a head onto it, just can't quite get there. Shot so quick off the top of the foot, which just finds its way to hit the lace. You asked for a goal, Hunted, and there it is. But that's only half the battle. You now have 70 seconds to try and find another. You're able to find possession here. Pass, looking for Koltzy. The shot is a little delayed, inevitably ends up being wide, but with the pressure being up from Azure, they're making sure that the Penguins don't get a free flip of the pitch for free.
Well, they're going to have to be careful here again. Azure finds a little bit of possession, and with 45 seconds left, oh no, Imabwtpie, a massive mistake.
Not like this. You mention a mistake, you drop the ball, you think you have space. Stahly says, not today. Sticks a foot up on in there, and when there's nobody in the net, all you got to do is simply tap it in. Now, of course, if Azure ends up not finding a second goal, it's kind of for naught anyways, right? You already had the lead, but that is something that almost sits in the back of the mind a little bit, especially as we do get prepared for a best of one here in Game 5.
I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as to say it's sitting in the back of their minds. You just got to wonder how deflating that has to feel. You get a goal on the board, you have some hope that potentially you can tie it up and send us to another overtime. And then a big mistake like that from your keeper, not one you expect. As game number 4 will come to a close, it's F5 Penguins. Final score of 3-1. We have a Game 5, folks. I hope that you've been enjoying the broadcast. I know that I certainly have been, Q, and I have a feeling Game 5 is going to be a banger, but Azure FC now backs against the wall after having that one-game advantage. Again, it's crazy how the momentum has shifted in this series, right? You had Game 1, very sort of back and forth. I mean, it took however long in overtime, 10 minutes of overtime almost, and we had, one team come out of that with a lot of momentum, and then all of a sudden, another overtime, momentum shifts, and then there's a huge shutout performance in Game 3 by Azure, and now it's like, well, Game 4 just happened, big mistake, Azure's now on the back foot. It's just crazy how that shift happened so quickly. You
would have expected anybody to make the mistake in game number 4. It was the team that was under the most pressure, right? It's funny how sometimes pressure can create those diamonds. So let's go ahead and take to the pitch one more time, one final time. Here in our losers bracket final, F5 Penguins were able to force it here.
No way!
And the F5 Penguins will be able to strike first. It's 15 seconds in, and nomdoms finds the lace.
There's no way. This one has to feel horrible as well. It goes off the defender and dribbles straight into the back of the net. And that is a disaster of a start for Azure, who have struggled to find the back of the goal at times. They're going to have to do so now as F5 take the first goal of the series, or rather of Game 5, in less than 30 seconds as Yako gets shut down. Stahly with a little bit of room. TiPSY is back, though. Yako shadowing Pitoh as well. And now Stahly off the defender. Yako, little bit of space. That's going to be a bit of a giveaway, and Koltzy will have plenty of room to clear the zone. So now Azure, maybe their first offensive opportunity. Koltzy wanted some kind of blade pass. Didn't quite get it to work that time for him. As now Azure, first minute gone, down by a goal. Game number 5. All of the cards have to be on the table here, Q, by the end of the game. There's no more second chances now.
It's kind of crazy what a quick goal in a series like this will do to you. I had almost forgot that we had just started game number 5, just due to the fact that we had the quick goal, and we're kind of back to that same sort of defensive back and forth. I felt like there should have been less time on the clock, but yeah, still 4.5 minutes left here. Plenty of time for Azure, as they've shown, at least at a couple of moments here, that they've still got that dog in them, but it's all about being able to find the results on the scoreboard, looking for a way to try and turn defense into offense, and to be unsuccessful in that regard there, as it will be Imabwtpie who will be able to at least secure things. A pass out towards their defender, not going to be able to find any additional space. I mean, right now the F5 Penguins doing a great job, pressured up, pass off the back wall. Pitoh tries for the shot, but will be denied.
Yeah, so a giveaway by Imabwtpie, but he makes up for it with a good read off that back wall play. Keeps his team in it. Nice feed, but Koltzy gets shut down by PaullyWallnuts, as that was the best look Azure's had so far here in game number 5. Good play from Kylar to keep possession. And F5, 3.5 minutes away from a grand final appearance here in the Rematch Elite Series. This North American tournament has absolutely delivered on the drama, on the spectacle. And we still have a game 5 to decide here. Nice feed over to Pitoh. Chip in, nomdoms right into the waiting arms of Imabwtpie. who's now going to try to play it down. Good read from Koltzy. He can't quite get there. The defense, though, maybe a little overzealous, but Stahly with a nice sliding tackle. Silver gets back up, able to make the play. Koltzy and Silver try to do what they can, cutting off that back pass. It's going to be a turnover now in hands of Silver, and he's played it all the way back. So after some great work in the corners by the Azure strikers, they've got the ball with a chance. That pass is awry, though, and Stahly will be able to take possession and work F5 out of the zone. So 2:35 now. The team in black, Azure FC, still need one to try to equalize this game.
So as time, of course, that one goal, one shot's all it takes, and we've seen them being able to try and start up their offense down the other side. It's going to have to be defense, though, that steps up huge. Nomdoms says, you know what? I'm not comfortable with just a one-goal lead. Let's go ahead and make it 2. And it starts with just a little bit of space. TiPSY tries to close the gap, can't quite get there in time. It's 2-0 with 2:19 left.
And that's such a nice placement there from Nomdoms, too. It's a hard read for the keeper. Nomdom goes near post and beats Imabwtpie. And now Azure in a definite hole, a bit of a mountain to climb. 2 goals in 2 minutes required. Stahly, nice move, trying to make it 3. Chip across, but it's too far. Silver plays it out. Koltzy's there. He's got Kylar in front of him, Stahly behind him, and ultimately F5 walks away with it. Here's Stahly again, back wall, out to Pitoh, but it's Imabwtpie on the read this time. Azure FC, they need 2 goals, and they need at least the first one very quickly. Koltzy trying to play it over to Silver. That play's worked for them, but it doesn't quite connect this time. As unfortunately for TiPSY, he actually does get the ball back, but the play into the box shut down by the defense yet again of F5 Penguins.
Figure with 80 seconds left, you need that first one in the next 20 or 30 seconds or so, because you know kickoff will go over to the Penguins. They'll be able to burn some time, and I would imagine the F5 Penguins will look to do just that here with possession. PaullyWallnuts getting dangerous as we do see Koltzy able to get a body on it, but of course Koltzy, the only one pushed that far down the pitch. You'll hear the change in the music. It lets us know that we are officially into our final minute of play. And if you are Azure, you need to find a way to get the possession here and now, and instead you surrender a 3rd goal.
And it's a beautiful play again by F5, spreading the defense, knowing they have to push forward to try to find the possession. And it's just a nice 1-2-3 passing play in the box, and it's a 3-0 lead now. F5 Penguins have all but secured themselves an opportunity to face down Voidbound in the grand finals. Azure has had a fantastic tournament, a great run. They took out Finesse in that last series in a Game 5, but their luck, unfortunately, has run out. And for F5 Penguins, Q, I said, this is the moment for them. This is where they can show themselves to be a top team in North America, and a team that can show resilience and that can show the making of greatness. They were shut out in Game 3, 4-0, mercy ruled in Game 3. They were down 2-1 in the series after that. They never stopped battling. Game number 5 goes in their favor, a shutout of their own, and we will have a void-bound F5 Penguins final.
Get to run things back from that winner's bracket final, and I'm sure the F5 Penguins definitely have the thought of being able to serve up a little bit of redemption on the back of their mind. I think the big thing for me is being able to overcome the adversity in the lower bracket final. It would have been easy after dropping game number 1 and winning game number 1 and then dropping back-to-back games in 2 or 3 to kind of allow for things to slip away. Instead, they locked in, and now they're in the grand final. At the end of the day, no one talks about how you got there if you're still able to pull off the dub. So at the end of the day, this lower bracket final, just a little bit of extra practice, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of extra practice, some very high effort, high intensity, very tense match of extra practice there. But, yeah, I mean, that's going to be, I think, a bit of the narrative. F5 Penguins coming off of a decisive Game 5 victory to punch their ticket into the grand final. Folks, we are going to take a short break to give us a bit of a rest, let the players take a short break, but we will be back momentarily. Make sure you're following the channel. Make sure you keep it right here. We have one final best of 7 to bring you. Don't go anywhere. This is the Rematch Elite Series here on Rematch Esports.